Don't you ever come out to me and my family. BlackPressUSA! But don't you ever BlackPressUSA! Take care of him, Justin. Come on, Justin. Come on, Justin. Oh. Come on, Justin. You're okay. We love you. Thank you. I
love you. You're in session voting on bills.
Yes, sir.
And I know you may have some things going on, but you have not. So I don't think it's fair for you to come in front of this committee and lecture us on hard work and convictions and hard work for our committee. So when I understand where you're at and what you're doing and why, but at the end of the day, we've been here working. We've been on the House floor voting on bills. We've taken the tough questions. We've taken the tough votes.
Yeah.
And we're doing so. So I don't think it's fair for you to come in here and lecture this committee on hard work when we've been up here doing the hard work.
Thank you, Chair Farmer, for your comments. They incense me. They make me very, very angry, not just because of the lack of regard, but the disrespect and the same denigrating tone that you used on the State House floor when the vote to expel me happened. It's disrespectful, it's unbecoming, and it's beneath the standard of a person who's supposed to represent in the Tennessee House of Representatives. It is a pathetic excuse for you to not answer the question of why we are doing nothing about the gun violence epidemic than to personally attack me. But let me explain to you what I have been doing, Representative, since you asked. My brother, Temperance Darnell Pearson, one of the loves of my life, passed away from gun suicide on December 1st of 2024. And since that happened, it shattered my family like gun violence has shattered so many families. Shattered my nephew's lives, my mother, my father, my other brothers who are remaining. I buried my brother. I planned for his entire funeral. My fiance made his obituary. I made sure that he was taken care of, even in death. That's what I've been doing. But also, not just that, I went to all of my nephew's schools. I met with their principals and their teachers to ensure that they are okay. I gave them and made sure that they had grief counseling and that they're seeing a psychiatrist. That's what I've been doing. And while you're talking about hard work, you need to realize that our job is not just in this state house with these marble floors. Our jobs are on the streets and in the communities that we serve. And so while you've been here passing bills that have been hurting transgender children, while you've been here passing bills that have been hurting the poor, hurting the marginalized, hurting the disenfranchised, while you've been here passing bills that have not ended poverty, while you've been here passing bills that have not helped people who need Medicaid expansion, while you've been here doing the hard work of making sure that our state is not the state that it can be, because you have decided.
Representative Pearson.
Reality of our school
Representative Pearson. Representative Pearson.
Seems to understand my life better than I do. You need to understand that hard work isn't just sitting there and shutting up and passing a bill. It's doing the hard work of justice and love and mercy. And
okay.
We need to pass better laws.
Representative Pearson.
And fight for a state where everybody is able to live more freely from the pain of gun violence that me and my family are experiencing. That's what you need to think about, Sheriff Paul.
This committee's been here this year working. During
Good morning and welcome to the Friday edition of Let It Be Known. Of course, I am your host, Stacy Brown, and this is the morning show for BlackPressUSA.
Good morning, I'm Niele. Good morning, Stacy, and Let It Be Known family. As you know, this is the place where we uplift and amplify Black stories and the Black experience. That was powerful.
You know, well, and the thing about it is that it was powerful for sure. Everything he said, anybody with half of a heart, anybody with a modicum of humanity would have had some sort of feeling. That dude sitting there didn't it reminds, and this is not to play on words or anything. It just reminds me every time we watch any history about slavery, oppression, and how a racist white supremacist, how anybody, a Black person's pain is their joy. He's sitting there, he's taking what the representative is saying, Pearson, and that guy is sitting and at that seat and just loving every second of Justin Pearson's pain, enjoying it. And
I think that
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think that it was important to show that clip in its entirety because the only clips that are trending, the media, mainstream media is showing right now
Hmm.
is the clip of him behind that white man's back as if, he's trying to attack the white man,
Right.
the typical
Right.
narrative. But when you put it in context of what we just saw, you understand what happens. It was a
Hmm.
legislator that is sick and tired of being sick and tired. He just buried his brother. You guys censured him last year, year before last, and he comes back to advocate for something now that has personally affected his family. And you push back and say demeaning things like that to him. And then you wonder why. He went, that was
Uh,
a Fannie Lou
mhm.
Hamer sick and tired of being sick and tired moment. That's what that was.
Yeah. And I tell you what, so much is going on. Like I said, everyone is talking about the Signal app and what happened on the Signal app, I should say, with them releasing those plans to reporters.
Mhm.
Um, and they always do something that causes attention, and they're doing something else. But their real mission is being it's being laid bare now regularly. I mean, look, this latest thing, and I think Greer sent this to our chat. Um,
Mhm.
Travelers are being detained. These are American people, folks. They are being detained at U.S. borders if you have anti-Trump content on your phones or your social media. Think about that. They are being detained at borders. We're talking about, it doesn't have to be an immigrant or any. We're talking about U.S. citizens too
Yeah,
over anti-president.
and don't forget that one of the lawmakers wants to by 2028 get rid of TSAs and put in security private security in airports, which will only support what's happening now. Because now
Yeah,
you have TSA maybe implementing, but those are just regular federal workers. They have not Democrat, not Republican, they're just doing their job. But once the federal government under a Trump Elon clan administration gets hold and puts private security within our airport system, it's going to get a lot worse than just being detained.
right, exactly. Um, and then what kills me is folks applaud stuff like this. His supporters. President Trump signs an executive order to eliminate paper checks from all
Mm.
government and treasury payments to avoid waste and fraud. Give me a break. Give me a break. What? Who gets checks anymore anyway?
Let me tell you who gets checks:
Hmm.
low income people, disenfranchised people that don't
Yep.
have bank accounts.
Yep.
So once again, it is going to impact the least of these the most.
Yep, 100%. And Inferno 932, right, Gestapo. That's you see the ICE people now. Not even just ICE, but they've made deputized some citizens to act as ICE agents, and they wear masks and stuff like that. Where are we? Soviet Russia? I mean, it's like, yeah. And now, listen, the dog whistle is a full-on bullhorn now. The executive order yesterday, effectively, unless I mean, I could see folks who invested in it, like Oprah and others. I'm talking about the Smithsonian African American Museum of History and Culture. That is just about dead now. Lonnie Bunch is not talking, and I don't blame him at this moment. Um, but the executive order yesterday essentially, and he pointedly attacked the African American Museum. That is not doesn't have American values, he says. Um, they are trying to now Smithsonian, um, while not a government entity, depends on the government for resources, and the they he wants to bring back Confederate monuments where they've been removed. Remember a few years ago
Well, we knew
under
that
the
was
Biden
coming.
Harris,
We knew that
right?
was coming.
But he wants to get rid of the African American museum and any museum that
What do you mean
is
get rid of it? What do you mean? I don't know what that
right.
means. You mean, what does that mean? Close it? What does that
Close
mean?
it, shutter it, finish it.
So, this is where I would hope that Black billionaires, they always want to
That's what
be
I
in
meant.
Forbes, to be in the top 10, I'm a billionaire, I'm this or I'm that. And I'm talking about the Jay-Z's, the Will Smiths, the LeBron
Talking
James,
my
the Oprah
language.
Winfrey's.
Hmm.
I hope that they preserve the museum.
Hmm.
Let's preserve our museum. We're in a time now. We just had Lincoln Heights, Ohio. Plan came up in their town. They took action.
They took action. Yep.
That is a perfect example of taking care of our own. And I hope that these
I'm glad you
billionaires
said
do
that.
the same.
Because now listen, I've criticized them. Those people you mentioned, Jay-Z, Oprah, all of them. In fact, Oprah was one of the original investors into the
Right.
Smithsonian
Will
African.
Smith was, Spike
Will Smith,
Lee.
Spike Lee.
I mean, it's enough
Mhm.
of them to come
It's
together
enough.
and be
Mhm.
like, okay, Trump, we don't need you.
Yep.
We got
They
this.
won't. They don't normally support certain Black entities. They don't support the Black press. They don't support a lot of things. Now let's see, Tyler Perry, you guys. Let's see if you're gonna let this guy get away with this, because now you guys have the resources. You know, with that. Now, see, okay, let's really, be real here. So the Smithsonian, I just wonder, Niele, if they get the funding to say we don't need the government, if they get the funding for the African American Museum, what happens to the Smithsonian itself? Because the government still will have a measure of control over all its other entities.
Well, I think these are the moments where all hell breaks loose. And I mean, that play. Every time I come to DC, I think this last time I was there, I didn't go. Every time I come, I go to that museum. It's like, lest we forget. It's a reminder. And there's so many factual things. And when you go there, sometimes it's more white people than Black people up in there.
Oh yeah, a lot of times it is.
You know what I'm
A
saying?
lot of times.
And so it's like, come on, what are you doing, Donald Trump? I think this might be one of the straw that broke the camel's back. I think this
Well,
might be one of those moments.
yeah, you would hope so. And as Mike V pointed out too, the United Negro College Fund is on the agenda as well.
Mhm.
You just anything like we talked about the books. We have been talking about the banning of books. We talked recently when they did the whole thing where they erased Black and people, Latino people and women from Arlington National Cemetery and the Department of Defense's website. They've taken the Kennedy Center. And they're attacking. They've called NPR, and Dr. Joni's mentioned this too. NPR and PBS communist propaganda.
Yeah, we
This is
talked
all.
about that yesterday. Yeah,
Yeah.
Jasmine Crockett went off,
Yes.
cussed them
And
out in committee
this is
about that.
all dictator stuff. In fact, there's a report out, U.S. News and World Report, that showed that by this time next year, when they do their next rankings of what is no longer a democracy, they expect the U.S. to be on that list as no longer a democracy. And they're saying like
Yeah.
40+% of the world is now under anything other than a democracy.
Right. Canada no longer considers us an ally. The prime minister was saying that, I believe,
Said that no more military support.
Mm-hmm. We're not an ally with them. I didn't want to spend my Friday morning with
I
doom
know,
and gloom,
because we got Dawn coming up too.
but all of these things we need to know about, because sometimes we just become desensitized and we just start scrolling.
Yeah.
What's coming on Netflix? It's Friday. It's movies dropping on Netflix, Hulu, Prime. Take Calgon, take me away.
Some Calgon, huh? And you're right, Mike V. We are very much aware if they go after, and they are going after NPR and Reuters and PBS. Black media is on the chopping block. They're that they're coming for us. We know that. We understand that. There's no question about it. There's no question about it. What is our Black history question of the day? What is our Black trivia question of the day?
What was the Black Cabinet? That is the question.
The question is, what was the Black Cabinet? Folks, put your answers in the chat because
Oh, we have no. We have A. We have some
Oh, wait.
options for you.
we
So,
got some
what
options.
was
I
the
didn't
Black Cabinet? A
a
soul
soul
funk
funk
band
band from
from
the
the
70s,
70s.
or B, an official department created by Roosevelt for racial equity. You got to give us a C.
Well,
Where's the C?
we'll jump to D. The team that designed the first all-black kitchen in the White House,
Oh
and then
Lord.
we'll go back to C.
Okay. Unless there is no
There is
C.
no C.
Okay.
We
Well,
got it. A, B, D. Well, that reflects the state of our nation, not in order.
yeah, it's just totally out of order. I see some guesses already. Tell me Austin is wrong. You got to tell me he's wrong. Austin can't be right. I see a lot of people going along with Austin. And somebody else said Roosevelt. Okay, we'll see. We will see.
Okay, we'll
All
start
right.
giving out some of the answers a little later.
Yeah, exactly. So, as I said,
Oh,
later
wait,
this
C.
morning.
We came to C. We doing the
Oh,
Trump
there's a C.
thing. We go A, B, D, C. This is a
Yeah,
Trump.
we did.
An informal group of Black advisors
Let me see.
influencing Roosevelt's policies.
Wow, that might be the answer.
That might be the
Because
answer.
because somebody said David Youngblood said that, and before she put it up there, so that might be the answer. Y'all are funny. I see. And then keep the answers coming. That is fantastic because I don't know the answer. Anyway, in other news this morning, before we get to as Orange G says, the red bone. Three Phoenix police officers involved in last year's violent arrest of a deaf Black man who has cerebral palsy received 24-hour unpaid suspensions. In other words, they got a vacation. This
24
is
hours.
just 24-hour vacation. 34-year-old Tyrone McAlpin was punched and tased multiple times and put in a chokehold by Phoenix police officers during an arrest on August 19th, and it was caught on body cam footage. The arrest occurred after a white man allegedly falsely accused McAlpin of assault at a convenience store. An officer said McAlpin was throwing punches and taking a fighting stance during the arrest. However, his attorney said the man was trying to protect himself as police violently escalated the situation while he struggled to understand their commands due to his disability. It's just it's a shame. And the charges were dropped against McAlpin too, because it was without merit. And this just continues to go on and on, Niele.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like so many familiar stories, like I can't think of the gentleman's name from Colorado, and the paramedics were involved. When you think of the man from the East Coast, he was naked in the streets and he ended up dead. I mean, this is an ongoing story, sanctioned violence by police officers. And then you wonder why Black Lives Matter. You wonder why you have Black Lives Matter grassroots, because it continues to happen to us. And just because it's no longer a headline in mainstream media, it doesn't take away the impact it has on our communities, from our families, from families that are impacted, you know what I'm saying, and have to bury their loved ones. And look at this. This happened back in August. Reminiscent of Ahmaud Arbery and Breonna Taylor, we didn't find out 2 months later what happened to them. Thank God George Floyd was recorded.
Exactly.
And it was instantaneous. But this right here, months later, we find out about it. But my fear is that we're becoming so desensitized that we're not going to react like we used to.
Yeah, and so the onslaught continues, right? And that is one reason why it continues, because after a while, people do get desensitized. So Dr. Nicole says, like, there's nothing civil about America anymore.
Nothing. I'm with you, sis. Nothing.
Yeah,
Nothing.
unbelievable. And as Orange G points out, he says, look at the case and how it all started. A white boy told a lie.
Hmm.
Mm, wow. Emmett Till.
And so the reality is, if this was back during those times, he would have been hanged. You know what I mean? And they were the slave catchers.
There you go. There you go. And that's why, again, we talked at the top, right? Um, this guy, this MAGA supremacist is he wants to erase all of our history. But what do they say? If you don't know that history, you're doomed to repeat it.
Mhm. And it's so
So
funny for you to say that. You know what I thought about? And folks, these young Gen Zers and millennials are saying, I don't want another slave movie. Well, guess what? You need another slave movie, because clearly you don't understand where we came from, because now we almost in the same mess. Okay? Shoot, you better go watch Underground.
uh-oh. Listen, I like Bass Reeves. I wish they would bring Bass Reeves back.
I love that. I hope they bring it back. I really do. That was a really
Yeah.
good show.
Bass Reeves was not playing around.
Mm-mm. And
I just didn't like the fact that he didn't spend enough time with his family
his
though.
family. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
he was a lawman. I mean, that was a big deal back then, to be a lawman, a
Yeah.
black lawman, or what was he, a bounty hunter or a lawman? Well, he was a little of
Well,
both.
he's a lawman. He's a little both, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
That was
Bass
good. I
Reeves was
wish
something
they would
else.
bring Underground back. Remember Underground with
Hmm.
Rosalie and Noah, Jesse Smollett's sister,
Hmm.
and I forget his name, but they was Noah and Rosalie, and they was running, okay, and they was not playing. I love that.
Greer says she loves Underground.
Yeah, it was so good, and I just watched it again this year, but I can't take myself to watch the last episode because of what happened to Rosalie. I just can't. I can't watch it, because it didn't come back. So all we
Yeah.
remember is for her being held captive again, and I just can't
Listen,
take it. Can't take it.
Austin is sitting at his breakfast table talking about, hi, Aunt Pam. You see that, Aunt Pam? He's saying hello. Tell him to go eat his breakfast. We got another story for you this morning. Los Angeles County. This is interesting, Niele. Um, Los Angeles County has been using what is probably faulty DNA test kits in criminal investigation for months. According to the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, um, a supervisor became aware this week of a notice from a DNA testing kit manufacturer indicating that a specific lot of kits were prone to poor performance with the potential to cause incomplete results. The maker of those kits recommended that the department stop using the kits. Um, there was a letter sent to the sheriff department last August 28th to be exact, but apparently it went to an employee who was no longer employed there. And because nobody knew about the letter, the affected kits remained in use for 8 months from July of 2024 until last month. Now they're assessing many criminal cases that may have been impacted by faulty DNA tests. They're saying that it's around 4,000 samples have to be retested. Here we go again. Public Enemy. I wish Greer would play that right now. Can't trust it. Can't trust it.
I think even a bigger question is, the biggest headline coming out of the district attorney's office this week is that he's reinstating the death penalty. And so, what you gonna do about this, Mr. DA? All the cases under your jurisdiction that might be impacted by this headline, faulty DNA test. What are you gonna do about that? But yet you want to hit the news cycle talking about why you're reinstating the death penalty. And when I saw that, I thought about the executive order that Donald Trump signed about police
Hmm.
officers. This is all connected. all connected. Not saying anything, anybody gonna go out and do anything, police officers, but I'm just saying it's all intertwined. But this right here, that's really impacting individuals, especially black and brown people. But you want to talk about the death penalty. Okay.
It's unbelievable that, like you said, with all this, with that going on, and so much other stuff, that this DA talk about he wants to reinstate the death penalty. Are you kidding?
Mm-hmm. That's his
Are you,
major headline this week. Major headline.
you can't even get DNA right. So, um, there's a comment that I liked that I wanted to read. Dr. Marilyn says, it's diabolical. They question why we are so emotional. Who wouldn't, based on the trauma we endure daily.
Right.
We got the doctors on here. You see, we got 3 female doctors: Dr. Nicole, Dr. Marilyn, and Dr. Joni. We're in good company, Niele. I think you got don't you got a PhD or something?
Mm-mm.
No.
No. I leave that to my sisters in the chat. We got a lot of black girl magic in the chat. I like that, ladies, because when I first got here, it was a little male heavy. So I see the sisters is balancing it out.
Lord.
I love it. I love it.
You need some testosterone. What is it?
Yeah, but it was a
Testosterone
little
or
too
whatever.
much. The ladies are in the house. Okay, we are here.
Oh gosh, you trying to do some pH balance here?
But here we go.
Oh, there's RNG is a doctor too. He says he's Dr. Love. Niele's leaving that one alone. Inferno
I thought
932
this was
says,
HBCU Friday, Orange G. Pick one. You gonna be Dr. Love, or are we representing HBCUs today? I'm representing them all. I'm just HBCU pride today. Okay.
Well, it is Happy Swag Hoodie Day, and in fact, he has Jackson State University, the I love, and he says Stephen A. Smith. We're gonna get to the black card later. Who's losing their black card? But he says Stephen A. Smith has lost his mind and his black card again. Yeah, he's
That's
lost
a
his
good
card
candidate
most of
for
the time.
today. I like
That's
that
a
one.
Yeah. Even though, as RG agrees that LeBron was 50 Cent type petty with that video, I don't know the 50 Cent type. You got to be something else to be 50 Cent type petty.
Yeah, 50 Cent is just over. I mean, he's just over the top.
Yeah, Mike B was asking what kind of shirt you rocking, Niele?
Oh, well, see, I got this shirt from every year the Clippers have, HBCU game night, which I'm pretty sure all other NBA teams have. And so Grambling, we represented, all the HBCUs represented. The halftime show was by the Greek, the Divine Nine. And so they gave out t-shirts to everybody. And so I thought I kept my shirt. I think it's cute. I rock it all the time.
Inferno 932 says it reminds him of the Cosby Show.
I love it. I'm a Cosby kid. I still watch Bill Cosby, okay?
Uh-oh. Look out.
I go to TV One, and I love Bill Cosby. I love the Cosby Show. Claire Huxtable, Mama Claire.
Do you remember the Cosby Kids? You mentioned Cosby Kids. You remember the Cosby Kids? Wait, this long before the Cosby Show. What was that? He was with Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids. That's what it was. Yes.
Oh, okay. I wasn't a big Fat Albert fan. I think
to be honest,
yeah, that was a little before me. I don't know, but I just wasn't a big Fat Albert fan.
She reclaiming her youngness. It was before my time. Okay, so one of your favorite topics, somebody said the brown hornet. One of your favorite topics, Niele, all month long, has been, of course, the NCAA tournament, the women's tournament anyway.
March Madness, yes.
March Madness. Yes, let's call it what it is, right? March Madness. Wait, she said, hold on. I was about to do an introduction and she said, hold on.
But we could talk about it a little bit. We know that the Sweet 16 kicked off last night, and Duke holds off Arizona. Texas Tech rallies past Arkansas in overtime thriller. And so I haven't really been watching the males basketball. I'm sorry. I know the females kick off today. I'm a little sad because my Juju, You know, she's not there, but I'm still rooting for USC. We got Don Staley, UConn, USC. We still rooting for them. So many others. I can't wait
What's the
to
latest with
see what's
LSU?
happening. Oh yeah, they're still in it. So we're looking this weekend to see if LSU adds another $100,000 with Flage to the pot. I'm rooting for LSU too. LSU too.
Okay, so Flaude still Flaude, she retweeted my article the other day, by the way. She's like, good
Now
job.
that's super dope. Yeah.
I'm trying to
Man,
tell
you
you,
should
Flaude
feel
is no joke.
cool.
I
You should
do,
get
I
cool
do.
points from your daughter for that one.
A little bit of cool points. Now we got to get
Yeah.
Juju on board. Unfortunately, we won't be seeing Juju until next year.
No, we won't. I was counting the months, so I was like, so she'll be ready by next January.
Next January.
Mhm,
Is
'cause
that
they say
is
it
that
takes
okay?
about
That's the
8 to 9
timeline.
months. They say it takes about 8 to 9 months
Well,
to heal
so
from the
the
surgery.
so really, Niele, when you think about 8 to 9 months, means that that's the time it takes to really heal, right? Then
Mhm.
she's got to get her basketball.
Right.
She got to go through all the whole training camp type
Rehabilitation. Yeah,
thing, right?
rehabilitation. Yeah.
And so you might not see her until next March Madness.
Right.
Really, when you
Right.
think about it, and there is the goat Dawn
Yes. Yes.
Staley.
Yeah, she was saying that she was able to finally text Juju last night because she texted her immediately. The number that she had didn't work, but Juju's people got at her. So she was just talking about how much of a huge contribution Juju is to the game and how much she was going to be to the tournament. Donnie's
Yeah,
here.
speaking of Dawn and goat, you mentioned Dawn and goat in the same sentence. There's the goat. There's our goat.
Hi,
Hey.
how are
What's
y'all?
going
How are
on?
y'all?
And by the way, I want you to know off the top, you know how RNG, Mr. Power 96 himself, he's always shooting his shot. Well,
Yeah.
he just made it a mission, Dawn, and you need to know because I know that you could care less. So you need to know that he says that he is over you, and now his target is Mimi.
Okay.
Who's Mimi?
Misha.
He like
Oh,
like
Mimi.
I am just fine. 2 thumbs up.
Well, that means you don't get no more crawfish.
I am okay with that. I can get my
You
own.
okay with that?
Thank you.
Okay. All right. See
All
that
right.
RNG? She can get her own crawfish.
I
right.
move
Anyway.
on. Anyway, no, Niele was already right. I mean, she gave y'all a rundown, basically, for the top hot topics or whatever, what's going on in March Madness. March Madness has been insane. I would like to say and point out women's March Madness is getting way more viewers than the men's, which we kind of expected. We knew that was going to happen. Even with the injury for Juju, what's kind of insane was I was wishing her a healthy and speedy recovery the other day and got attacked by all of the Kaylin Clark fans or whatever. Like, she's in the WNBA. Please get out of here. Anyway, because of some comments that I made, like she didn't deserve to be on like this top 10 WNBA graphic or whatever for Fox Sports. But again, it's Fox Sports, so it is what it is. But to me, to you all's credit, we aren't going to see Juju, but I think the best thing that we have been seeing since she has been injured is that she's been getting recognized with certain awards, like postseason awards. So I think that's going to be something that we're going to actually pay attention to during March Madness. And I think it's great how coaches are responding to her injury and actually showing her some love because the media honestly is not being fair. This is something that we also expect. So I'm gonna get off of women's sports for or women's basketball for right now. With men's, the games last night. Now let me tell y'all something. I don't watch a whole lot of men's basketball because y'all know I don't fool with the NBA. So there's that. But the boys basketball last night, we were at Chili's. So let's just start there. We were at Chili's. And Chili's was packed because we were celebrating my daughter's birthday. But Chili's was packed just because it's Chili's, right? But on every TV was all of the men's basketball games and then like updates from women's basketball stuff. Because again, they play today or tomorrow. Or today. They play today, correct? And then the guys play tomorrow.
Right.
So, okay, great. So, anyway, we're watching and we're seeing updates. And if I'm not mistaken, in the Alabama game, there was 25 threes that happened in that game. Now, I could be wrong. I could be off. But if I'm not mistaken, there were 25, like a record of 25 threes just coming from everywhere for Alabama. And I think that's going to bring back that March Madness magic that we love, you know what I'm saying, from the men's basketball. Like, we're seeing all of the new hype and all of the love and all of the things that's going to keep building for the women's. But I think that right there is something that is like, okay, this is March Madness. This is what we're waiting on. And of course, it's coming from like a team that we would kind of expect that from. But again, to see 25 threes, this is not something that is normal or what have you. So I think that that's just super dope. I know that I'm just waiting to see who all is going to be in the Elite Eight before I continue with my bracket, because let me tell you something, my bracket been shot. Like, let's just, like, as if I'm coming in here and I'm telling y'all what I know, but baby, my bracket been gone. So I just think that it's great, you know, what we're seeing in men's basketball at this time, what we're seeing in women's basketball at this time. And to be honest with you, I think the energy just matches. I don't think we've ever really had that for March Madness. Even with having like Angel Reese at the game last night for Maryland and Florida, even though Florida pulled that one out, that's okay, you know, but having a star or a future face of the league in the building was amazing to see. And I think that that's some of the storylines and things that we're going to hear more of as we continue. So, you know, good luck to the women's teams, because again, we're always rooting for the women's over here. Go women. But I think the men's basketball stuff is really starting to pick up. Yeah, so, and then somebody was commenting on the attendance
there. Paige. I love Paige. Yeah, I love Paige Buckner. Who are you predicting to battle it out as the final two for women's basketball?
Child, I don't look. Me and Jesus. I don't know. You know. I'm sorry, y'all.
Yeah. What's been the biggest surprise to you?
You said what now?
What's been the biggest surprise to you?
The biggest surprise, honestly, if I'm honest, 100%, it would have been the injury. Because, and I hate to make it about one player because we shouldn't. But I think it's more so seeing how they move forward and how they bounce back, you know, from dealing with that or whatever and moving forward. I know that the Tennessee versus Ohio State game wore me down, because if anybody knows me, I'm an Ohio State fan. I love Ohio State, and technically we should have won that game against Tennessee. So I think that Tennessee win over Ohio State really shocked me. And then immediately when Ohio State lost, let me throw this out there, because one of the biggest storylines in women's basketball around some of the things that's happening postseason wise is the transfer portal. You know, one of Ohio State's stars literally jumped into the transfer portal, and a lot of people are like shocked, and I'm like, no, a lot of people aren't shocked, but I am completely shocked, because I'm like, girl, you don't want to stay? Like, you don't want to, like, you don't want to see this through. So I think that that's kind of where I'm at with it, is more so like the injuries and like the conversation around, because I don't think I really have anybody besides just South Carolina winning it all. Like, I just, and that could be unbiased, you know, I mean, that could be my bias or what have you, but to me, I think because what Dawn and her team consistently faces season after season, it's like, I need them to get there. I need them to get there, you know? So definitely my one to get there would be South Carolina, but who they're going to play, I don't know. I'm not even going to.
I think it's going to be this team right here, UConn. Yeah. UConn has been looking very strong. We know Paige Buckner is a senior, so she's going to the WNBA. And so
I can't wait for her to go too.
Right, exciting. But I think it's going to be South Carolina and UConn. That's
I'll take that. I'll take that.
So, Dawn, what is with the attendance? Orangey says the attendance on the men's side has been kind of low. Have you noticed a trend going on?
Yeah, so we've been noticing that since there has been an uptick with women's. I mean, we were talking about this last season, remember? You know, when we were dealing with, you know, Angel Reese and, you know, Kayla Clark, all of these people, there's just the interest is shifting. And I think the storylines and, you know, what's happening with women's basketball is becoming more of a priority. which that's what we've always wanted. We wanted more eyes on what we're doing. We wanted more people to pay attention to what's happening there. But I think in general, the men's doesn't have like those stars that really stand out until we technically get to March Madness, right? So like you got the young man from like Baltimore, what's his name? Is it Derek Queen or something like that? Is that his name? Because people, joke about his name or whatever. But he makes a comment of saying, I was prepared for this because I'm from Baltimore. You don't really get these, stars and personalities technically, from the men's side anymore. So I think that people are looking for those stars. Now, to be fair, you've had people like Caleb Love, or you've had like Cooper Flag that's at Duke. But again, a lot of us still don't like Duke. So we're not really trying to see Duke win. Right. We're not trying to see them win. So it's just like, okay, what do the women have going on? And I think, Niele has already made a comment about just how much more exciting the women's games have been. Like they have literally been, even though the scores may not reflect it, but they have been really like, they're fighting for it. They're here. This is what they're fighting for at the end of the season. They're trying to keep going. They're trying to advance. They're trying to move forward. And I just think it's kind of like an expectation when we watch men's basketball, right? We know that they're going to play. We know that they're going to do what they're going to do. So we're just going to wait to see who makes it to the Final Four, and then maybe everybody's going to show up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I got a prediction. Monique Daniel says LSU and South Carolina.
Oh, LSU.
Ooh.
Well, that would be good.
That would be nice.
That would be good.
That would be nice, and I would love for LSU to lose again. Anyway, so
well, the only thing about LSU, yeah, but the only thing about LSU is that when they win, somebody's debt gets relieved, and so that's a good incentive to root for them. Flage.
To be fair, I love the initiative. I love that you retweeted and reposted, Stacy's story. I love Flage. That is my girl. I will ride for her 10 flats, whatever. I don't care. Baby, go home. It's okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Go home.
David Youngblood's asking, how about UCLA? What do y'all see? What do y'all see with UCLA?
UCLA.
Is that men's or women he's talking about? Is that got to be men's?
Right, because I'm like, so it might be women's too, because they've got to play Ole Miss now. Okay, for that particular game, since he's brought that up, I need Ole Miss to win that one. I need them to go ahead and send UCLA home. And the reason, if anybody, okay, all right, got you. And see, anybody that knows me, because I'm from South Mississippi, I'm from where Southern Miss is, right? Hattiesburg. We don't fool with Ole Miss, right? So that's just a general thing. But for me, because, Ole Miss was one of the latest universities that got rid of their DEI related initiatives and things like that on campus. Ole Miss can go. I want Ole Miss to go ahead and advance, but I also want this to be a moment to where they can see what their basketball team looks like and who is helping move them forward. Come on now, look at your coaches, look at your players, look at the people who are there. Like that type of, like, it's like, if there are journalists out there smart enough to kind of pick up, you know what I'm saying, Stacy, because we see what we see and we know what's happening, and it's happening everywhere. But again, if I can get the look of Ole Miss beating UCLA and somebody picking up that storyline, like, you want to get rid of DEI for what? Like, this is what brought in
Let me ask you,
the ability to do that. Go ahead.
Yeah, on DEI, I saw Roland Martin talk about this or tweet about this too, but I mentioned him because he is a journalist. What do you think about the idea, some of the schools that are eliminating DEI of the, Roland says if the men, but I think you can add the women in too, if the black men and women basketball players would say, we won't play if you do that. Do you think that would fly?
Do I think what? Say the question again.
You think that would work? That the schools that are saying we're going to get rid of DEI and their athletes, but the black athletes say, okay, you get rid of DEI, we will not play.
I love the energy of that. I understand where that comes from, but it's just not going to happen. So there's no, I think it's fair to kind of say, as much as we want to consistently push that out there and kind of encourage our student athletes and their families to consider these initiatives, to consider these programs that are being defunded or being told that they can't do it again at these universities, the reflection of that would actually have to be where we're pushing our HBCUs forward, right? Where we're making sure that these student athletes get to these campuses. Now, one of the things that's been happening that we've been paying attention to since college football, since Dion came into the stratosphere of that, is that majority of these college football programs are hiring former players. So some of this is enticing some of those student athletes to come from the big PWIs or what have you that are recruiting them, or Division I schools that are recruiting them and bringing them to HBCUs, which is technically a great thing. But I feel like these athletes are still going to go to these schools. These athletes are still going to consider getting recruited by them. These athletes are still thinking about themselves, which, again, we've got to battle ego too, because beyond all of this, you've got to actually show them why it benefits them to go somewhere else versus the schools that are actually chasing them, right? So as much as I want to continue, that narrative and say and push those things out there and push a challenge, because that could literally be a challenge. That's something that we can really push. But once we push it, we've got to give them the resources to kind of understand, here's where else you can go. Here's why you should go over here. Here's why you should build over here. And we haven't seen that actually translate actually right now in college basketball. We might have seen that happen in college football when a dad decides to take his son and a star player and go to a HBCU and do what they do and then leave there and go to a PWI, get a Heisman Trophy, and now they're in the draft. Do you see where I'm going with this? So it's like nobody is technically doing that. And a lot of people say that I hate Dion because I'm usually his biggest critic. But I don't hate him. It's just the way that he's gone about doing those things is completely different than what a normal parent would actually be able to do with their student athlete if they came into this into this particular industry, right? So I love that initiative. I love that idea. But if we're going to say that, here's the next step. Here's what else you need to do.
Well,
here's what's available to you. All of those things. You get what I'm saying?
It's like, what's the strategy behind it? And
yes. We can't, we're not going to be able to bully these babies to go to HBCUs. It's just not going to happen, and as much as we would love to see it, go ahead.
Yeah. The other part of it is what Shonda H mentions too, because if they say we're not going to play, they can take their scholarships away.
But we got scholarships in some of the HBCUs too. So it's kind of like, again, the scholarship may not mean as much to you because you see HBCUs in a lower tier. They're not necessarily on television all the time. They're not getting all the NIL deals. So again, what's the other thing that we're able to connect with them to an HBCU or to a program? And like I said, in college football, one of the biggest things that they're getting now in HBCUs is former players. I can tell you Michael Vick is coaching at Norfolk State, and what you gonna do? Now you're actually thinking about that. Okay, well, what if I can convince the NIL deals that I'm getting to come with me over here to this HBCU? What does that look like? Does this HBCU have the infrastructure to welcome that type of attention and the things that are coming with that? So again, now we've got to help our HBCUs, you get what I'm saying, as media or as just people in the community to say, we've got your back. We're going to make sure that we can get this student athlete more coverage because they chose you, right? So it goes beyond that because no matter where you go, technically, you have access to an athletic scholarship. But where does it mean more to you in this atmosphere of NIL and all of the other things that you can benefit from by going to a Division I school or a PWI?
Right.
There you go. Well, March Madness doing rate this year, if you will. It seems like we keep saying that it's getting better on the women's side. I'm just talking about the women's side now. It seems like it keeps getting better every year. So if you had to rate the last, say, 5 March Madness, where would this one rank?
This one, this one might be number 3. Number 1 would have been last year's March Madness for women's, I just don't think, because it was like the tipping, like it was the breaking point. I don't think it's ever going to be like that high. even though we've got some amazing, women student athletes that are playing right now and they're doing their damn thing, and that's great. But I think it would be number 3 because I also would look at the year right before last year and say that would be number 2. And the reason being is because it was tipping, it was going, like we were seeing it, and just the buildup of all of that. So to me, on the women's side, this year would be number 3. Men's, to be fair, I'm actually gonna give them a 1 because I ain't really been paying attention to them over the past 5 years. Like, don't nobody care about them. Did nobody come here to see you, Otis? So, like, I genuinely feel like this is one of those years where, depending on how the Elite 8 goes and the Final 4 goes, and the energy with that, if that's going to increase attendance to these games and increase the energy around men's basketball again, because even we're seeing that reflect in the MNBA, like nobody, I'm just going to be honest with you, ain't nobody paying attention to
The
them.
only one who calls it the MNBA, you know that, right?
Yeah, no, I'm not. I am not the only one that calls it that. The other WNBA people on Twitter, who I love to argue with on a daily basis, we all have joined together to call it that. So shouts out to my weirdos. That's what we do. But
why?
But
wait. I have a
why
did you
decide? So part of the reason why we did that was because we, in so many ways, the conversation that we have around the WNBA and the NBA, we wanted to make it feel like it was more of an equal conversation. So a lot of times you don't really hear people put the M in front of the male sports, right? The male center sports, right? And so it was like, okay, well, let's throw it out there. Well, one of the first people who said it was Ivory, and she's the person who quoted the WNBA is important, right? The WNBA is so important. Like it's a narrative that has stuck around with the buildup of women's sports just in general. So when she said it, I know I ended up saying it myself because I didn't hear her say it first. I was just like, well, if we saying WNBA, we might as well say MNBA and NFL. And a lot of people lost their mind because they were like, it just makes no sense. It doesn't sound right. And again, because we're women's sports fans, they don't feel as if we're equal to have conversations about the male sports. So to us, we just come in and we say it, and it's just been a running joke, right? And it's just been something that has been really picked up since even like last March Madness. A lot of the conversation that was happening around that time was, people throwing the M. Of course, it's the M is in front of the men's basketball stuff during March Madness. So we was like carrying it on over into the NBA, so it's like MNBA. So it's just been a running joke, and I just feel like it was us trying to own the conversation around who can be a sports fan, who can have those conversations about what's happening in these leagues, and then saying, okay, well, you don't want us here, but we'll make a joke of your league too because you guys think that we don't know basketball because we've been WNBA fans.
Wow.
Point out that comment real quick from, is it Shonda H?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, you see
it says the major thing that is being left out is most PWIs has larger endowments that many HBCUs and don't, and if funding becomes an issue, athletics gets cut, which is very, very true. Hence why that's the conversation where it's like, how are we supporting our HBCUs consistently? We're not waiting until the conversation becomes, we've got to cut these programs, we've got to cut athletics, we've got to cut these scholarships and all the things. We have to consistently be supporting our HBCUs. So I don't want to bully a kid or a student athlete. And, Roland might take my words wrong, but Roland, just bear with me here. I don't want to, say something to bully a kid to get them to go to HBCUs, and the infrastructure is not there to kind of welcome them into a situation where they can handle that, right? And again, it's not to say anything bad about our HBCUs. It's just we need more support. We have consistently said we are completely underfunded. And then look at what's happening under this current administration. We will continue to be completely underfunded over the next 4 years. So with that being said, how are we meeting these moments, especially when it includes sports? And sports really does something to really connect all people. So that's a conversation where if you actually would put a little more attention into what's happening with sports and, keeping our student athletes going academically, then how does that continue to build up the infrastructure around our HBCUs? I mean, quiet as this camp, I don't know if you guys talked about this, but what's his name? Lord Jesus, I'm gonna have to look him up while I'm talking about this. But there was a basketball tournament that was held for HBCUs.
You're talking about
And
Dr. West Bellamy. You're talking about West Bellamy. Dr. West Bellamy.
And his tournament. That's the type of thing we have to look into supporting and building, because if these guys are playing for our HBCUs and they're not being invited to the tournament, what's the alternative? What's there to help show them we want to see you still play in postseason?
Right.
We still want to support you. You might not make it to the NC2A tournament, you might not make it to the NIT, but here's something else that you all can participate in, and we can build up and we can support. That's a start. That's important, and I think that was really great that he did that.
Yeah, I think Dr. West Bellamy was on point with that. We were talking about monuments too, and I don't know if people know, but Dr. West Bellamy is the reason that all these Confederate monuments were torn down across the country, because it started in Virginia. So West is on point. We got to get him on the show.
Yeah, that would be dope to get him to come on and talk about how that went down, creating that tournament, what he's doing to continue it, because it's going to be something that's going to be annual. And also getting more of the Black press involved in that coverage, because then that gives us, it gives our reporters something else to do beyond just covering maybe, our HBCUs during their basketball season. Because that's another thing. If we could have a whole nother conversation about this, Stacy and Greer, but who are we seeing at these media tables and Niele? Yeah, no, I'm pointing y'all out because OGs, right? But I know Niele would agree with this. It's one of those things where who are we seeing at the table talking about being media members and having the conversation about the stories around our athletes? We don't see us, And so it's important that Aflaa, she's, at LSU, in one of the biggest spotlights. She's doing this amazing thing off the court, and people are benefiting from that. And she saw what the Black press put out about what she's doing, and she lifted that. That does a whole lot for us, because that gives us eyes, that gives us more visibility, that creates an opportunity for us to kind of okay, well, they did a story on us. Can we reach out to them the next time we have another announcement, or the next time we do something else, or the next time we have to do something else? And I think that that's another way to look at that, and just creating our own shit. At this point, it's just that's what the Black press is here for. We here, but when y'all create y'all stuff, come talk to us first. Come talk to us. We're waiting. We're waiting to tell it. So go ahead.
Real quick, Dawn, before we have to go. We hate letting you go, that's for sure. But Monique,
I love y'all.
Absolutely. Monique says that, did you see who committed to South Carolina? And I know I'm gonna mess the name up, but Agot Makir.
Oh, I did not see that, because I'm gonna tell you again. My daughter's birthday was yesterday, but you know what? That's a great commitment. She was, if I'm not mistaken, she was number 4 in women's basketball for recruitment. And so one thing about Dawn gonna get the player she needs. And then she's gonna add she's gonna add some supporting actresses and actors in space or whatever, however they identify. And I think it's amazing when she can consistently get these top players coming to her program and being dedicated, because again, this is a coach who is in the spotlight, who is also saying, I want to play these other programs, these HBCUs and these other teams that don't get an opportunity to be in the spotlight. And she's doing that during the regular season. She's doing that during a time when a lot of people want to schedule their games around the fact that they actually want to be considered for the tournament. But for her, it's a matter of how can we continue to uplift other people. So I think that's an amazing recruit for her to receive. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to see that up and down my timeline when I do get on Twitter later on today. So that's uber dope. Great pointing that out, Monique.
Well, awesome. And it's great having you, Dawn. I'm so glad you dropped in on us.
I love y'all. I love y'all. Niele, you've been killing it, girl.
You cannot.
You have been killing it. I've been waiting to get on here to tell you that, girl.
Thank you. And when you're ready to make your announcement, make sure we're the first ones you drop the.
Oh, I'm coming to y'all. It's one of those things where I'm extremely excited that I am at a place where I'm comfortable to step up into, the light, because I think Stacy and Greer can agree. I have literally been dodging that. I love being supportive. I'm a supporting actor. So this is, if there's an Oscar to go out to somebody for best supporting actress, that would be me. But right. But there's those moments where, Niele, you understand this, where you get an opportunity to step out and do it your way. And when you get an opportunity to step out and do it your way, you just get prepared for that. So I've just been getting prepared for that. I'm excited. And once I know that there's a complete green light, I'm coming to y'all. I'm literally going to be here, and I'm going to say it here first. I'm gonna let it be known here first that this is what I'm doing, and this is what's happening, and this is where you can see it, and this is how you can support it. So thank y'all. I love y'all.
Well, we'll be in Dawn's neck of the woods in June in Savannah.
Yeah, Savannah.
So we're looking forward to seeing you in Savannah too. So.
Yes, I'll definitely be there. I love y'all. Y'all have a great one.
Absolutely, you too. The red bone, y'all, as he says, the red bone. So a lot of March Madness. Niele's week has been made. All that March Madness talk.
Well, it broke me down, Juju. It broke me down. But the silver lining of this whole Juju situation is that when she first hurt her knee over the weekend, she said twice. She said it on the court, and she said it in the press room when they were asking about her first initial knee injury. She said, nobody cares. Nobody wants to hear about that. And then she turns around and has a season altering injury. And now she sees that we do care. Juju, we care.
Mm-hmm.
Embrace the love. We care for you, sis.
Embrace the love.
She said nobody cares. We ready for these quickies?
Well, oh yes, that's right. Quickies.
Yeah,
right.
We got to go to the quickies. Okay. So some are calling it a snub, Stacy. Some are. So despite picking up the album of the year and best country album for Cowboy Carter, Beyonce has been left off the nomination list for the 2025 Academy of Country Music nominations.
Well, that doesn't surprise. I mean,
not surprising.
They have a problem with I'll tell you what their real problem is, and this comes from a non-Beyonce fan. I'm not against. Well, I don't dislike Beyonce. I'm just not a fan.
Okay.
Their problem is if they were to, if the Country Music Association was to start recognizing her for what she is, and embrace her, they know that it's over. She can dominate their whole genre, and they're afraid of that. And that's why
trying to put out country albums every year.
Right, but she doesn't have to. Right, because the one look, I mean, the one album everybody went nuts over, and that type of instead of see, that's the problem with this whole DE&I stuff too. Instead of embracing that there is diversity, and diversity means a lot, and diversity can be really great, and is really great. They have tried to shut Beyonce out of the Country Music Association awards and stuff like that. It only hurts them. It only hurts them because what she brings to country music is not what you've ever seen been brought, at least in this century.
I mean, I wouldn't even give her all of that. She just made a country record. That's it. And it sounds like country.
What I'm saying though, right. But what I'm saying is the attention, the love, and everything else that comes along with that. They don't get that attention on a normal basis. It's Beyonce. Yeah. Let's face it.
And it comes from this truest sense for her. She's a country girl. She's from Houston, Texas, grew up in the rodeo. I mean, it is the most innocent and purest thing of being a country girl. She's from Texas. She's from the rodeo. You know what I'm saying? They used to celebrate Juneteenth in Galveston, Texas, where it really happened before we knew anything about it here on the West Coast. I mean, she's a country girl.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? Let me jump into your quickies for 1 second. Maybe Greer knows this. What exactly? But totally, Randy's getting an honor today, the Women's History honor. Uh,
Oh, nice.
from Texas. Yeah, I saw that on her Instagram feed. So congratulations to Totally Randy. She's getting something, some sort of honor for women's history
Well, maybe we
and
could pull it up
excellence.
and toss it into our Women's History Month too, and
Yeah.
really take a deep dive into that. Speaking of Women's History Month, a liftoff date has been set for Gal King and her gal pals to
Oh
blast
gosh.
off into space.
She don't have to
So
come back.
So they are blasting off into space on April 14th. That's a
She
Monday. So everybody get prepared.
got enough money. Build a house out there. Stay there.
So we'll see. I
Oh
know
my
Katy
god.
Perry. Is Katy Perry on that on that spaceship? It's a
Is
it's
she?
it's it's an
I
all
think she
women
is, yeah.
it's an all women blast off. So we'll definitely be paying attention to that as the days draw closer. Now here's one. A new Pew survey finds that almost half of Americans believe people have become ruder since COVID-19. Now they're saying about 47% of adults say public behavior has worsened and 34% noticing ruder behavior in public. Have you
Mm.
noticed ruder behavior patterns?
Yeah, you know what? It's interesting. After the pandemic was lifted, for a little while there, because people were really nice, and I thought
You thought
people
they were
would be
nice.
nicer. I thought they would be nicer, and they've
Mhm.
only gotten worse since like in the. It was like a couple weeks later, the ugliness started coming out again.
Well, I know people have become more racist. I will say
Oh,
that.
without
I think
question,
that's a
without question.
relative of rude, so maybe there's some connection there. And we were talking about Tennessee earlier. And another finding, Memphis, Tennessee is ranked as the most dangerous city in America, according to the findings for the Major Cities Chief Association. They did a violent crime survey, and Memphis ranked most dangerous. And based upon what happened on the Hill, and then last week we were talking, it wasn't Memphis, it was Knoxville, Tennessee, which is not that far from Memphis, where the
Right.
two men were murdered by police within
Hmm.
a week's time. So Tennessee got some problems.
They got some issues. Wow.
Hmm.
You know what we didn't mention is the whole Marvin Sapp thing.
Well, I was kind of holding off on that because I think we need a preacher to break that down.
Or a cop or a district attorney, because
Okay, come on.
I think Niele, he told those people, here's the thing. You filmed the crime. He told those people, those ushers, to lock the doors.
He didn't
So
say lock the doors. He said, see that's one
what
thing.
did
He
he
didn't
say?
say lock.
What did
He
he say?
said close the doors.
Close the doors. You're holding hostages.
That
And
is
here
not
you holding hostages
true.
for ransom.
And
That's
he said,
despicable.
he put out a statement. He said context does matter.
As if people didn't watch it.
No. But you only saw a clip. You didn't see what happened before. You didn't see what happened after. I thought long and hard about this because there are like a lot of things, that going on. Marvin Sapp is, I got one for you, Greer. This is my theory. Marvin Sapp is a gospel artist, right? He gets paid to sing. It appeared that this offering call was after he preached. He didn't pour it into the saints. And then after he poured, y'all just want to get up and walk out. I need my offering. Y'all not just gonna get this word.
What happened to what you receive free, give free?
And I think that offering, and then on another, I thought offering is a sacred time. Just like we do praise and worship, so is offering and giving unto God in the work of God. So maybe he was just trying to set a tone and an atmosphere because offering and giving is an act of worship. So you can look at it all types of ways. But I think that for people who are unchurched or don't go to church, if you grew up in church, what Marvin Sapp did ain't nothing new. Now, there are some preachers that have said to lock the doors. All he said was shut the doors. It was a lot of moving around. And then the third point, after COVID, it was a lot of stealing out them baskets. So a lot of pastors have decided to where they do a different approach to taking offering, because when there's a lot of movement and activity, it's all types of stuff going down. So I need everybody to be still when the plates go around. So it's a lot of factors, but don't judge that man and try to cancel him because he was conducting an offering in his church. I think, we're going a little too far.
Such a good girl. You're such a good girl.
No, I'm a church. I've been churched. I grew up in church culture, and what he did was nothing new.
I agree with Shonda H on this one. I'm sorry. she I think she hit the nail on the head.
What she said?
It's called pulpit pimping, and that has absolutely nothing to do with the gospel or biblical doctrine.
And that ain't nothing new under the sun. They've been pulpit pimping for years. All I'm saying is that ain't nothing new. I've seen that before, and I've seen pastors say lock the doors.
I've also seen, what's his name, ask for $75 million private plane. What in the world is that?
Creflo Dollar.
Oh my God. Unbelievable. Anyway.
What you know about him? Let me just say, since we talk about preachers, what was funny about him was he told everybody to throw all his books away that he had wrote. I think he did this last year before. He told everybody to throw books away because God gave him a new revelation. So I'm like, oh, so now you're about to go put out a whole new slew of books for us to buy. He said, get rid of all. I got a new revelation for you. So, I mean, that's what I'm saying. This ain't not Marvin Sapp ain't nothing new under the sun, but I think context matters in what happened in his church.
Oh boy. Okay, so you got any more quickies?
We didn't talk about Stephen A. Smith and LeBron James. I thought we were going to talk about that.
He
but that ain't a quickie. Conversation.
I'm not a LeBron James fan. I think he's one of the best players to ever play.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the best. But Stephen A. Smith, if there's not a hole big enough for his ego to crawl into, unfortunately, I wish he would go under. Someone needs to put this guy out the pasture. He is just a waste of space. I can't take him. I don't like him. I think he's despicable. He never goes after anybody except black athletes. Ever. Point out one non-black athlete he's gone after.
I mean, they're not too many. They're not too many.
Yeah, he's a snake. And I mean, there is not enough adjectives. And the fact is, he talking all that junk. Whatever words he and LeBron had, LeBron, as Jamel Hill said, that it was refreshing to see him walk over to him and express to him what he did not like. LeBron did nothing wrong except express to this man what he didn't like. He didn't threaten him from both accounts. He didn't threaten him. He just expressed something, which he has every right to do. And Stephen A. Smith, like everything else, makes everything about him. I did the Dawn thing because we just had Dawn on. I blocked that dude, Stephen A. Smith. I don't get none of his content on my social media at all. I don't like him. Don't care to see his face. Anything about him.
I think Matt Barnes did an excellent breakdown of the back and forth between LeBron James and Stephen A. Smith. And in a nutshell, he was just like, he was glad to see LeBron speak up and the vulnerability. And he pulled a clip from Kobe, and he was asking Kobe, like, what about the commentary and all of the sports cycles talking about you? Like, what bothers you the most? And Kobe's response was all of it. And so he brought it back to LeBron and was like, people think that, you're not supposed to be affected by it because it's part of the game. But the truth of the matter is we're human, and it bothers us all. And he brought up another point. And I mean, I don't care. I like it. It's good for the sport for them to go back and forth. But I thought Stephen A. Smith hit below the belt when he brought up Kobe's funeral. and talking about, LeBron wasn't there, and then he went back and retracted it and brought it back up again and said, well, he was there, but nobody saw him, and then he said, well, I didn't mean to say it that way. So I just think he went too far, just extremely too far with his rant and his commentary.
Because he's a small-minded little man.
Little rich man. Multi-million.
He's not rich. He's not rich.
Man. Yeah,
he's not rich. He's
he
very
is.
poor. He's
In
extremely
spirit. He's
poor.
poor in spirit, but he's rich in bank account. Let's differentiate the two.
which his MAGA friends will eventually take from him if he doesn't watch his step. So that's why he continues to capitulate to supremacy. Anyway, he could lose his black heart every day, but today is somebody else. Today,
It's not him. I would have thought.
It's not him. I think his card's been revoked anyway, but I'm sure we'll find many other reasons to revoke his black card. But nobody should be surprised that the White House administration, which has been actively pursuing the elimination of DE&I as part of a larger plan to eradicate fictional anti-white discrimination, is also dismissing federal investigations into actual evidence-based allegations of racial discrimination against Black people. It should come as no surprise that the evidence-based allegations of racism that Donald Trump is undermining are rooted in anti-Black housing discrimination, which Trump has firsthand experience with, as the DOJ has filed a lawsuit against him and his father over similar allegations of discriminations in the 70s. Well, the HUD, U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, has taken quiet steps that will likely kill 2 investigations into alleged racist housing discrimination in Texas. In one investigation, the HUD under Biden found that a Texas state agency diverted $1 billion in disaster mitigation money from Houston and nearby communities of color after Hurricane Harvey. A second investigation by Biden's HUD found that a homeowners association outside of Dallas created new HOA rules that allow for the unjust expelling of poor Black people from their neighborhood. Well, guess who's leading the charge to ramp up housing discrimination? None other than a Black man who's losing his Black card today, HUD Secretary Scott Turner.
Not the HUD secretary. Okay, Scott, see you later.
He's done.
Stick a fork in him. Stick a fork in him.
Right. He's done. Never. What you say? He won't. Not only won't be allowed to the cookout, but Juneteenth and all that other stuff.
And you guys, we gonna be on the lookout because we know Donald Trump coming with something for Juneteenth. Okay, he not just gonna let us celebrate. He not gonna let us have no watermelon and red soda pop. Okay, he coming with something.
Look at that picture right there. All right. Black history moments on this date in 1842. We got a couple of them today because they each couldn't ignore them. So on this date in 1842, William Harvey Carney, an American Civil War soldier and the first African American to be awarded the Medal of Honor, was born in Norfolk, Virginia. Also on this date in 1966, speaking of sports, Bill Russell, who I think is the greatest player ever, is the GOAT, becomes the head coach of the Boston Celtics, making him the first African-American to coach an NBA team. And finally, and perhaps most importantly, on this date in 1968, race riots in Memphis, Tennessee interrupted a protest march led by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in support of striking sanitation workers. The National Guard was also called out then, but here's the key. It was the last march before Dr. King's assassination.
And that's where those historic pictures of I Am a Man came from, right?
Yep, 100%. So some women's history?
Cute. For sure. You talked about Randy. So for Women's History Month, we want to celebrate our very own Totally Randy. You can check her out on Monday. She drops something on Black Press USA, kind of sets the tone of how we're going into the week over here at Black Press USA. So Randy is being honored with Women History in the Making in Houston, Texas. And this is being brought to you by The Blush, Texas. And so we just want to celebrate her and honor her. There's our Totally Randy. Like I said, you
There
can check
she
her out
is.
on Mondays.
All
So
right.
she's our Women's History Moment of today. And we also want to celebrate the birthday of the daughter of Dr. King, Bernice King. She was born in 1963. She's one of the most vocal voices of the King family today. And we just celebrate her, we honor her, and we thank God for her.
And our Black-owned newspaper of the day is none other than the Washington Informer. Tonight, the Informer celebrates its 60th anniversary at the MLK Library in Washington, D.C. It's a night of dancing, awards, and celebration as Denise Rolock Barnes continues the legacy of her father, Dr. Calvin Rolock, who taught her the ins and outs of the media business growing up in the nation's capital. And the Informer is one of the very best Black-owned newspapers in the entire world. Some great folks over there. Misha's over there. Sam P.K. Collins. Got to throw Chevy some love this morning too, because today, of course, Friday, they do Win TV. Let's Talk at noon on the Washington Informer's YouTube page. So check that out at noon today. Let's Talk, the Washington Informer. But the Washington Informer formally celebrating its 60th anniversary. Legacy, culture, and vision tonight. Folks, you can probably still get some tickets. So go on and check out WashingtonInformer.com. And I'm sure you'll find how you can purchase some tickets there. But the entire staff will be there and some special guests. They're going to be giving some community awards out as well. So it should be a nice, fun night celebrating a huge milestone. Oh, it is sold out. Oh, congratulations. That is good. That is music. That should be music to all of our ears. It is absolutely sold out. So good job, Denise, Ron Burke, and all of those there at the Washington Informer who made it happen. So 60 years, Washington Informer.
Well, it's been a fantastic week, Stacy. And for all of our Let It Be Known family, the news just doesn't stop here. So during the weekend, make sure you tap into Black Press USA. And we're going to at Black Press USA. And now we want to check out our pop quiz. And the question was, what was the Black Cabinet? Was that the question?
Yes.
What was the
Yes.
Black question?
And
So
the
we got-
answer?
The answer is, what was the Black Cabinet?
C, an informal group of Black advisors influencing Roosevelt's policy. So if a few of y'all got it right, the name Black Cabinet was a creation of the Black press, who were proud to have a group of skilled and professional Black men and women pressing for equal rights from within the government. The group also set a powerful precedent for policy advocacy that would set the stage for the coming civil rights movement of the 50s and 60s. Look at the Black press, always in the mix.
In the mix, 24/7.
She said that in a very LA way too. I always catch the LA.
24/7.
There it is. There's the foe. Niele, what's up for this weekend? What are you doing?
I have a skate party, a 70s skate party on Sunday.
Look at that,
So I'm
70s
looking forward
skate
to
party.
that. And then of course looking at Sweet 16. That's it.
All right. Well, whatever y'all do it safe, do it fun, and come back on Monday. Check us out. We'll see you then.